Ready?
I'm ready.
Good evening and welcome to our Team Up for Hope webinar. My name is Trish Valentino. And just a little background about our organization. Team Up for Hope is a 501c3 nonprofit that works to address the impact of mental illness, addiction, and suicide in our communities. We strive to raise awareness and funds to support local nonprofit organizations that are on the front lines of these issues. Some of those organizations we've supported: Center for Evaluation and Counseling, Daniel McQuaid Art Installation Project on Mental Illness, NAMI of Orange County, NAMI of Sussex County, Wounded Warrior Project, just to name a few. And we hope to forward this mission by sharing our experiences and inspiring others in our communities. And these experiences can come from local experts as well as everyday people in our area who wish to be of service. And I'd now like to introduce you to our fearless leader and president who brings an abundance of service to our community, Mr. Wayne Patterson.
Hi, Trish. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yes, we are Team Up for Hope, an all-volunteer non-for-profit focusing on mental illness, addiction, and suicide. And I'm honored to be the president of the organization. And before I forget, and I'll probably say it again at the end, but teamupforhope.org is our website. So please take a look as you're even listening today and see what we're all about. I am pretty excited today because I have some guests that are going to be speaking and sharing how they impact our local community. And it's pretty, they're a pretty awesome group. I'm going to start actually with a woman that she really initiated this effort. And her name is Beverly Braxton. And the reason I'm saying she initiated this webinar today, she had a forum several months ago. And at the forum, which had over 20 plus speakers from high school students to licensed clinical therapists, police, hospital administrators, school psychologists, etc. And at that forum was a young man who's with us today, and his name is Vincent Penavia, and he initiated a program at his school, the Warwick Valley High School, and it's called Sit and Chat, and he'll be talking about that today. So I met him at this forum, and I wouldn't have met him at the forum if I wasn't supporting Beverly at the We the People effort that she put together, and he was one of the 20 plus speakers. And then we also have the Warwick Valley Coalition coordinator here today, Prevention Coalition coordinator today, and that's Francesca Bryson. And she's here because at the forum, she was sitting next to Vincent, and they chatted because the Prevention Coalition puts a lot of effort on bringing awareness of illness, mental illness, and addiction and suicide to the Warwick Valley High School and to the middle school. So here we are today as a group to talk more about We the People and the initiative that Beverly had put together and has continued to put together, because there are more forums coming in the very near future. And then you'll speak and hear from Francesca about the Warwick Valley Prevention Coalition and her efforts and what she's doing today. and has been doing for the last 12 years, and it's exciting. And then we're going to have Vincent speak about this sit and chat organization or club that he put together at the high school, where his peers get together and they kind of talk about what's happening with teens today. Which, number one, teens are speaking, which is amazing, and they're not texting, they're actually sitting down and talking, and that's pretty unbelievable. So I'm going to shut up now and introduce you to Beverly Braxton, and she's going to talk about We the People and her efforts and how she got Vincent here today. Beverly, my pleasure.
Hi, welcome everyone. I'm excited to be here. I'm on this journey of trying to reimagine a community that could be in support of every living life, and that we're all equally valued and seen and heard. And it's been a wonderful process for me. I'm always, and when I interact with people, I'm listening to their stories, and I'm listening to ways that I'm growing from what they're sharing. And that's why, I am talking to Wayne, and when I was listening to Vinny, I'm like, Vinny, that's something that the community needs to know about. Francesca, that's she's already in the community. So I think what I'm learning is that what are the coalitions and how can we strengthen those coalitions? Because it's because of all of our collective effort that will eventually make the difference that we need to turn things around in light of creating a community for everyone. So I've been doing a number of things in the community to build connection, because I feel like connection, when I see a story in another life that connects to me, I'm all ears. And I think we all want to see in what ways we can connect with others, because our humanness is such a profound experience, and there's so many nuances around difference that is I find exciting. One of the things I was thinking of tonight, in terms of the mental health forum that I started, I feel that for so long our humanness is, our struggles around being human and the different challenges we're given are oftentimes we hide what it is to struggle with something that we're unclear about, or fumble. If we fumble, we have shame around it. And I'm thinking, well, part of that is the invisible mechanisms that keep us from connecting, our fear about our vulnerability and being exposed and not perfect. And I say that our imperfections are our beauty, right? It's like, because there's something lovely about giving voice to the fact that we don't know everything and we can't know everything. And our humanness comes from, or our growth or development as a human being comes from our mistakes and how we handle our mistakes. How do we overcome our mistakes? Because if you're not making mistakes, I can't imagine what learning you can be doing. Yeah, right. So yes. I don't really need to go on, but I feel like the whole mental health discussion is so important, because even as a child, I struggled a lot with my own, sense of security or feeling loved or feeling, sense of belonging. And I have been taught a lot about that, and people have been in service to support me in my growing up. And I think unless we open up our needs and reach out, we're doing a journey that's much harder than it needs to be. So I'll stop there and I'll let Francesca jump in and give her little point of view.
and before we jump into Francesca, because Beverly she could probably talk the entire hour about all the things that she has done and another hour about the things that she has planned. And I just want to say this. I have to show this to the audience if you can see it. It's a local paper. And what does it say? It says, she's on the cover, Beverly Braxton, Sparkling Dialogue, right? I'm going to take a moment because you have to understand what she's saying. And she had a forum that started at 8 p.m. in the evening. And it was scheduled from 8 p.m. in the evening until 9:30 p.m. And, you know, I looked at it, I was invited, I attended, but I said before I went, who's going to show up at 8 p.m. in the evening after they've worked all day? And, you know, and then 9:30, that's like past most people's bedtime, right? What was Beverly thinking? And I get there and the house is packed. And I left around 9:45 after, and it was an amazing event, a forum with wonderful speakers and informational and enlightening. And I left around 9:45 and everybody was still there. Like, I left people there at 9:45. I said, oh my goodness. So Beverly, you have captured our community. And I have to just read one thing that you had got me. And it was really the first time we met and you said this to me. And you said, I want to ensure that every person feels welcomed, heard, and supported in the community we love, right? And you could have stopped there. And you had captured me. And so not only are these words, but you're walking the walk as well. So thank you. I have to say that. And now, Francesca, the Warwick Valley Prevention Coalition, it's another wow. And I'm going to let her speak, and I'm going to have something to say after she's done as well. Hi, Francesca.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It's nice to see you guys. So my name is Francesca Bryson. I'm the coalition coordinator for the Warwick Valley Prevention Coalition. We are a local nonprofit. We are a drug-free community coalition funded through the CDC. Our coalition was started in 2009. We are currently in year 5 of our funding and applying for years 6 through 10 as we speak. Our mission is to reduce the use of substances amongst youth in the community. And we really do that by increasing community partnerships and collaborations, working with Wayne and Beverly and the school district and Vincent at the high school, the police department and our local National Guard and other agencies around our area. And we just want to support prevention efforts through our town and promote a healthier and safer Warwick.
Thank you very much, Francesca. And Francesca could probably go on another hour about the things that she's doing daily, and her goals. And we meet once a month on Thursday, the 4th Thursday of every single month. So we would love for you to join us. And you want to give your website, Francesca, so folks can plug in?
Sure. You can follow our website. It's www.warwicknyprevention.org. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. Our Instagram handle is Warwick's Ounce of Prevention.
Right. And the website, the Instagram, everything is bright, clear, informative. And she's had, she'll maybe talk about it a little bit later as we're talking with Vincent, but she's brought to the middle school and high school Hidden Mischief, which is an exciting, it's like a theater game night for adults on trying to find, and then they make shift, they make a living room and a bedroom, and they have stuff laid out in the rooms, and it's full of paraphernalia, drug paraphernalia, and the goal is for the adults to find all of the paraphernalia, and you go through it, and you might find 10, 15, 20 things. And when all is said and done, there are 60 plus things in these rooms that our youth are using today as paraphernalia that we're not even aware of. But Francesca enlightens us with this event to bring to our attention and to their parents' attention of things that their youth may be engaged with, hopefully not. She's also had, and I'm sharing this because it's important today, and she's had speakers come in, and we have it at an auditorium. In the last auditorium, we had over 160 children, youth and parents watching a video of Mallory's team, and it was the story of a young lady that was bullied and committed suicide. And it was touching, it was informative, it was powerful, real, and raw. And as the evening went on and ended and we asked for questions, I would say 90% of the questions came from the youth. And I was surprised. I thought the parents would have been all over it, and it was the youth that were asking a lot of the questions. So that's the kind of impact that Francesca is having on our youth today in the high school and middle school here in Warwick Valley. And thank you for all you do.
Wayne, I just wanted to let everybody know we're going to be providing the Hidden Mischief training at the Warwick Middle School on April 19th from 7 to 9 p.m. in the Media Center. So all are welcome to join us there. We ask that you do please leave your children at home. This is for adults only.
Right. And if you haven't attended, plan to attend, because it is quite informative, to say the least. And then tonight I would like to switch over now to Vincent, and I guess we know him as Vinny, and he created a club called Sit and Chat, and it's pretty unbelievable, actually. So much so that it captured my attention. It surely captured Beverly's attention, and just right up the same alley as what Francesca is trying to do daily at our local school district. So, Vincent, if you could share with us a little bit about Sit and Chat.
Yeah, so I made Sit and Chat to get closer with my friends. It was basically, originally just started off as 10 pretty much interviewing questions, 10 deeper questions that I would ask my friends. And once I realized that I could maybe want to do this with in a club setting, I asked some of my friends that I originally did the interviews with, and then I went into the school and made the club. And then that was around late of my junior year. And so then once senior year started up again, I kind of finalized some things and made the club happen. So.
Which is unbelievable. And he too is being very modest with his efforts, because it has captured not only our community, but he too made it on the cover of our local paper, and he's been the talk of the town. And as you can see from this, I don't know if you could see it well enough or not, but it's him and some of his crew that sit and chat. And it pretty much says Peer Power, the Sit and Chat Club here in Warwick. And I'm actually surprised he had the time to even come and be a part of this webinar today, because he's in such high demand with what he has done at the school. And I do have to ask you some questions about, and I think you took a psychology class, and is that kind of what prompted you, Vincent?
Yeah, so what prompted me was, I guess it's the psychology class a little bit, but I made the questions. I was lonely during quarantine, like everyone was, but like I really wanted to get, I was lonely and I wanted to get closer with my friends. So I made these 10 questions around my late sophomore year, I think. And I made the 10 questions myself on a Google Doc. And so once barriers started going down, I was like, okay, I'm going to ask them now. So I did. I asked my first couple of friends, I think like I made the doc, I think maybe sophomore or junior year. And then once middle junior year hit, I called it my psych project, because I was like, oh, this is kind of psychology. And I was in the psychology class. And so January of that year, I asked like 2 of my friends. And then once summer of junior year hit, I asked the rest of my friends. So.
Right. And they answered the question. Now, tell me, how, once you started the club, tell me how that first meeting went.
Yeah. So the first meeting was not good, I guess. So the first meeting, we didn't have everything like kinked out yet. So what happened was, it was just like I was up with my vice president, like standing in the front of the room, and then it was basically just a bunch of desks. And so it was kind of like a classroom setting, but that kind of made it so people weren't looking at each other and they weren't really felt as a group. And since we didn't say right away what kind of environment we wanted, the environment was really jokey, and it was difficult to get into, I guess, difficult conversations or deeper conversations. So once the meeting ended, I talked with my teacher advisor, Miss Hamilton, and she gave us advice of like how to make it better, pretty much. And the next meeting, we set up like a circle of desks, which kind of set up the environment of, friendship, and like everyone's kind of here equal. Like me and my vice president Jackson weren't up like away from the group. We were in the group saying our opinions, building on the questions and stuff like that. So I think that meeting went a lot better than the other ones.
And, in line with what Beverly was saying, if you're not doing anything, you're not going to have any failures. And when you start to do something, you are going to have failures, and that's how you learn. And Vincent had his first meeting, and you were probably saying, oh my goodness gracious, why did I do this, right? No one is taking it serious. And you didn't run back home with your tail between your legs. You just kind of came back and said, how could I make this better, smarter? And you set up boundaries, and, bravo to you, Vincent. Tell me how you came up with the Sit and Chat name.
So I came up with that name. I didn't really come up with it. I was talking to my parents about, because it was just called my psych project for a while, because I thought it was cool. And then when I was talking to my dad about it, because I go rock climbing with him, so we were on a car drive to go rock climbing. And I remember we were talking about talking to my friends and stuff like that. And we were trying to think of names for the club, and I couldn't think of anything. And he remembered this place called the Sit and Chat Diner he used to go at when he was younger. And so that's where the name came from. He just remembered the Sit and Chat Diner, and I liked it, so we called it that.
So it's pretty amazing that not only have you gotten your peers involved, but you've also gotten your parents. You have a a student advisor, a teacher advisor, and engaged. And you've captured, the interest in Beverly Braxton, right? And Francesca, who are out in the community, and having successes and failures and successes and failures, but are engaged with our community, with our youth, and for you to be, grabbed by them to be a part of a forum says a lot. And it captured my attention so much so that we have you here today on this webinar. Beverly, do you have any questions for Vincent, or you want to share what caught your attention?
Well, I was wondering, I have this question for Vincent because I have this question all the time for myself. So, Vincent, what have you learned about yourself? And as you are going through this process of seeding this concept of sit and chat and opening up deeper conversations, deeper questions even, what have you noticed about what you're learning, not only about yourself, but about your peers that you're interacting with?
Well, about myself, I've probably learned, I don't know, about myself. Well, I can say what I learned about others. Others is easier because after you ask like the same questions over and over again, you get to see patterns, which is really fun. So with my friend, so after a couple of the group ones, I wanted to do more individual questions too. Like when that first article came out, some of my teachers saw it, and one of my teachers, Mr. Tillinghast, wanted to end a couple, like one other one too. Mr. Arvanites, the principal, wanted to do a sit and chat with me, and I was really up for it. So I got to have the chance to do sit and chats with adults too. So that was cool to see the difference and learn the difference between kind of maturing. Like one of the questions was, like, would you die for friends or family? And I noticed that like a lot of the kids would be like, oh, of course, yeah, totally, without kind of taking into account how that death would affect others, while the adults would always be like, I'm not sure, it depends because I have a family. Like, of course I have family and I like love them very much, but I don't have my own wife, I don't have my own kids and stuff like that. And whenever the adults were asking those questions or answering those questions, that they always talked about, and they always like thought like, well, how is this going to affect my kids? How is it going to affect my wife or my husband? Because I don't want to hurt them for someone that I might not care as much about. And learned about myself, I probably would say that I learned how much I just like, and this is kind of a simple answer, but how much I like talking to people. Because, well, yes, you get to see patterns in all the people's answers and stuff. Everyone's a little different, and everyone likes talking about like these questions. Everyone likes, from what I've gathered, everyone likes opening up, I guess. Like I have that opportunity to. So I really learned that I just love talking to people, and I'm open to talk to anyone with these questions because I just love hearing the answers so much.
Yeah, that's really important to recognize, because I was going to say it sounds like there's a passion growing around this kind of process for you, and you may be somebody that makes it easy for people to talk to, because you have a question and you want to find an answer doesn't mean that people will open to you. And the fact that you're so comfortable and eager and excited about it, that somehow you get fed by it, is a way in which you draw other people in to share those, answers with you. And that's really special. It's like a gift.
I also want to say, I think you're creating a positive,
Yes.
judge-free environment for people to be open, honest, and vulnerable to answer these questions, truthfully. So I think that's awesome.
What amazes me about this, Vincent, is you are only 18 years old. Now, I say only 18 years is a long time. Something that if I'm going to be doing something and I had to do it for the next 18 years. That's a long time. But in life, where the rest of us are a little older than 18 and we've had life experiences, and we see you capturing an audience of your peers, and even you said you had adults that were even spending time sitting and chatting. So it's a gift. And once again, bravo to you. Francesca, did you have any questions for Vincent?
I guess my only question would be, are you considering, teaching the younger class to do something like this so it will continue in the high school after you graduate?
I think I do want to, I don't know, because lately the group ones have been kind of falling short. Like I haven't had a group one in a while because I noticed within a group classroom setting, it's difficult to have those barriers come down, if that makes sense. Because like, sure, you do have, like the last one we had, like there was still good conversation and stuff like that. But I think even for students to have those conversations, they have to feel really comfortable. And I think just like having a teacher, no matter the teacher, like my teacher advisor, like she's great, but just having that idea of a teacher in the classroom, or just maybe even being in the school, like in a class, could have people stressed out. So like I want to focus on individual ones, but if I do focus on the individual ones, I can maybe be able to talk to younger students, like you said, and then once they have talked to me or talked to someone or heard about the questions or something like that, or even seeing my questions in the paper, that they can ask their own friends and ask their own family. That'd be amazing, because like I can't. It's not like I'm the only person who can ask 10 simple questions. Like you can take my questions and ask your buddy or your friend. So yeah, I would love for people to ask their friends or whatever.
Awesome.
Well, I think when I talked to you initially last summer, Vinny, I felt that your questions, you're right, you're not the only one who can ask those questions. I think by your initiating this idea has given other young people permission to begin asking those questions. Because people, it's just, in my understanding of what it is to be human, there are kids carrying those questions, and giving them permission to ask them out loud is really very important and very powerful. I mean, that in itself, if you could leave that as a legacy, I think it's seeding the concept for young people growing up today that those questions, not only are they important, but you can share those questions with other people who may have the same questions. And that kind of connection makes you feel safer and more, you're not the only, the concept, you're not the only one who has good ideas, right?
That's something I was going to talk about a little later, about your We the People efforts and some other efforts that you're doing, Beverly. But right now, Trish Valentino, who introduced me, who is on the Team Up for Hope committee, and she in herself has over the lifetime done a lot of training and support for those with mental issues, addiction, and suicide, and even having an experience more recently, and I'm not going to dive into all the details, where her children were touched by a recent suicide that we've had here in Warwick. But so Trish, do you have any questions for Vincent?
I do. Thank you. Vincent, I really admire what you're doing as a young person, especially as the mom of 2 teenagers in Warwick School District as well. And a couple of things that I can think of is, first of all, do you find, like, when I was a teenager, I could remember feeling like I was different from everybody else. I identified my insides with other people's outsides. I didn't, and it didn't match to me. So I always felt a little different in some respects. And do you find that this project and this club that you've created, and I'm sure you've worked your tuchus off to do that, do you find that you've found more parallels with people than differences? Do you find that you're more similar,
Yeah,
than you are
definitely.
different?
Yeah. So like I still compare myself to others and all that kind of stuff like any teenager or person does. But yeah, I definitely feel asking these questions and receiving answers from everyone, whether it be the kids or the adults. You definitely once you ask a question, at least personally for me, like when I ask a question and they say something, sometimes there's a moment, and usually there's a moment, whether it's on the first or the 10th, it usually happens anywhere between. Like they have an answer, and I just relate to it so much. Maybe it's not every single one, but I definitely do see. But some people I wouldn't even recognize. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know you did that. But like, I don't know you felt that way. But just having that opportunity to talk to those people, definitely, yes, like has me be able to relate to them more often and get closer with them more than I thought I could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to back up Francesca's question and just suggest that this be continued throughout, that the next person in this group carry the torch to the next class, to the next class, to the next class, if possible, because there are so many kids who could use this kind of help. I find that with young people, any person, it doesn't matter any age, that more people may need such help, but those people who want it are going to benefit from it. If you keep continuing that would be amazing. So that's all I have.
Yes, we would hate for it to die a slow death. Now, back to this. Let me try to get it up so you can see it. That's a photo of some of your crew. Yes, Vincent?
Yeah.
And are all of these guys seniors?
Yes, that's our junior prom photo.
Nice.
So yeah,
Well, I'll
that's
show you
yeah.
fun photo. Great heading. Are there any prospects at the high school now that you could potentially be handing off this club to?
I think that might be. I do have to do a little more thinking about it because I do like lately I've been kind of focused on because college and all that, so I've been focused on scholarships and essays and blah blah blah. But yeah, now that it's all kind of easing up, I do want to focus on this club because, like you guys said, it would be really cool for have it to be a legacy, I guess, or have it continue, not just for my sake, but for others. So yeah, I definitely should and have to think about, yeah, like you said, prospects, because I could think of some people off the top of my head, but yeah.
Yeah.
So.
They'll of course have to want to do it.
Yeah.
And of course, you've set the bar so high, it's tough. It's kind of tough to live up to what Vidya has started. I have a question that is really important to me, and you had talked about it. It's journaling.
Yeah.
Can you share what that is and what you were doing with that?
So journaling objectively, or what it is to me?
No, just some journaling about visions that you had.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So yeah, that came from one of the thingamajigs, one of the meetings. So journaling in that meeting was talking about writing down your goals and writing down how to get there, and just having it written down on paper and making that kind of plan does help. At least I think it probably should help with getting to those goals, and making a plan helps you make you realize it's not that hard, and if you just go step by step, you can get it done. And journaling the process obviously helps as well.
Yep. And this is going to sound really funny, but can you repeat that again?
Yeah, sure. So journaling is when you like write down your goals, and then what you do is it's easy to see step by step what your goals are. So then you look at each time, like, all right, let's say I want to build a business. Well, what do I have to do first? Okay, I have to talk to my friends about it. And then you can journal actually. Oh, I talked to Jeff today. Oh, I talked to Mark today. Oh, okay, this is how it went. And you can talk like if you liked it, if you didn't like it, what the response was. And then the next step, what do you want your business to be? Oh, I want to be finance marketing. Okay, let's research how it is, and you can research what you want, and you go step by step. It becomes easy and easier because that's just making a business.
Yep. I'm a little older than you, and I have to say this. I want to say successful, but success is a relative term. Most people that have had impacts on the world, on their career, on their business, in their life, had written goals, had visions that were done and put in writing, and not having goals. And I don't want to start getting into preaching this, but it's the truth. Not having goals is like a hockey team on the ice trying to score and there are no goals. A basketball team trying to go up and down the court and there's no net and hoop. That's how important goals are, right? You can't unless you know what you're going after. And I'm not going to dive into that, but when I saw you mention that, when I heard you mention that, if that alone is something you can share with your peers and even adults that you come in contact with that may be off track a little bit, talk about the journaling, because that is crucial for everything that you do in your life, Vincent. So it's wonderful to hear that. Once again, bravo to you. Are there any more questions for Vincent? And
I do have a question. And
Yeah.
I'm not really sure Vincent has the answer, but I have the question. Vincent, I'm around adults a lot, and we recognize some of the many challenges emotionally coming out of pandemic, even adults have, or, the adjustments people's lives went through. And I'm just wondering, from your perspective and looking at young people, your peers, or people, even kids younger than you, what have you noticed around their sense of well-being?
Well, I think recently it's gotten a lot better because it's farther. But I think right after the pandemic, I definitely did see maybe not like direct illnesses or like any disorders, at least personally, but I think just more use, maybe more reliance on like the phone, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And maybe that coincides with like more, I don't know, like separation from people. But I think once people were able, I know at least for me, like once the masks were lifted up in the school, that was like one of the best days ever because it was so cool to see everyone smile again and like face. So I think just having that time away from people in general, whether it be friends or just strangers, I think really affected at least my well-being. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And I have a follow-up question. Do you think there are people or that would be interested in sharing the experience that they went through in that, in that period of uncertainty that all of us experience, and some of the things they learned about themselves and other friends. I just feel like it would give to actually hear the lived experience of young people through their own voice is so much more valuable than reading about it or getting it from an adult. And I'm wondering, do you think there are young people open to sharing that? Like, how I invited you to the mental health forum
Yeah.
and you were just like, you didn't hesitate, which is a relief. But I'm wondering, are there people that you can think of or that you would sort of introduce to us that may give voice to those experiences that are so valuable for us to understand and try to support?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's definitely a kid somewhere that would definitely do it. So, and I
Who-
could. So.
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was going to say, would the psychology class that you were a part of, are there kids doing that because they're interested in following that as a profession, or they're just dipping and trying to see different subjects?
I think it's probably both. So the psychology class I took in junior year was a half-year course, and that was just for me to figure out, because I didn't want to take AP psychology yet, which is what I'm taking now. Because I didn't want too many APs last year, and I wanted to, because I already had kind of a lot, and I wanted to just kind of like dip my toes into psychology and like get a basis of what I'm going to see next year, because I was planning on taking it.
Yeah.
But I think definitely the half-year course is like probably a mix. Like they find, at least in my opinion, they find psychology interesting, but they don't want to take a full year course, and this gets the half credit. But AP psychology is definitely probably like, I'm thinking about this as a career, or I find it very interesting.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question if I can ask.
Surely.
So I work with youth and the community, as you know, with substance use and mental health. And I'm wondering, you did mention patterns of answers, but I'm wondering if you have seen patterns of behaviors while asking your questions. For example, do you notice that youth or people in general might be more anxious due to COVID, more on edge, or anything like that?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I mean, definitely when I ask a hard-hitting question, there is definitely silence for them to get a good answer. And sometimes if I don't know the person too well, like there is kind of that, I guess, awkwardness or like not sureness. Like, do I want to answer this fully truthfully? How do I want to answer this kind of thing? I didn't ask people before the pandemic, so I can't like test that. But there is definitely patterns of like asking a question, and the people I've asked so far, I would say I'm fairly close to. There is definitely a pattern of like, let's say I ask, what's the purpose of life, or what is one thing you've learned in the blank years you've been alive? And I think those are the two most hard-hitting ones usually. And so when I ask those questions, they maybe not anxious, but they definitely take a moment and like, how do I answer this correctly? Correctly is like subjective, but like, how do I want to answer this? Whether that be because of anxiety and then like the way I perceive them, or how they want to answer it and how they want to see themselves. Could be it.
That's a good answer. And then also, do you see, I guess, or do youth tell you, I don't know the subject of all your questions, but like what is, I guess I should say, like what is a need that you see that youth might need from us as adults or community members?
Probably just like an open road. So like not like, I don't know how you would say that, but like I think a lot of kids as a relative term, just like want an opportunity to speak, whether it be anonymous or them, but like rather than having people say, what do you need, just like, hey, if you need something, you know what I mean? So instead of just like, because I feel like if you're asking someone, why are you not okay, instead of are you okay, like those are very different questions, and one can lead to like more of a comfortable answer, if that makes sense. So I think that, yeah.
Wow. Wow. You know, which is making me think, do you think some of your peers would be more comfortable spending some time with me and Beverly and Francesca if we did a podcast instead of a video webinar where they would be anonymous? So
I don't know. Maybe. I think that depends on the person, because sometimes I think I think the podcast could maybe help them, but I feel like the best way to get to someone would be, in my opinion, person to person. But some people do like care a lot about their image and stuff and don't want to be seen, or like just being on camera maybe could be anxiety inducing for some people. So I definitely think a podcast option would probably heighten people's comfortability, I guess, to being on that and being asking those questions. Yeah.
yeah, I only ask because I know, right, some of the topics could be very sensitive and they may choose not to discuss it or talk about it because they're the ones saying it and we all hear them and see them.
Yeah, yeah.
Versus if it's just the voice and they just mute. So maybe a little more comfortable. So that's something that we're going to talk about in the future as well, because I will be doing some podcasts for folks that want to keep their anonymity, but talk about some raw and real and stuff, you know, and I respect it and understand it. Wow. And you know, you've really gone through these answers, Vincent, and I'm excited about this webinar that we're having with you, just tackling everything, and I'm still blown away with your whole journalizing stuff, journaling stuff, because that's so important. Beverly, you have We the People. You have a youth
Engagement.
Yes.
Yeah, we
And
just, oh yeah, I can just jump in. Do you mind?
please,
I jumped quickly.
Mhm.
We just submitted something to the papers today on a youth engagement questionnaire that Francisca worked a lot to generate, responses from young people around what are their greatest concerns. Now, Vincent, that would be a question I didn't ask you. What do you think young people growing up today, what is their greatest concern? I'll come back to you for that, but the questionnaire had basically, of the things listed on the questionnaire or the survey, choose 5 that are your greatest concern. And then the other piece of that questionnaire was, or survey, given what we've listed, what do you think would be most supportive of young people's well-being? So we're not just looking at what are they struggling with, but how can we help support them growing in a more supportive and resilient way? And we submitted the answers to that in the paper today. I hope they print them. But Vincent, what do you think? What do you think are the greatest concerns? I mean, you have your little posse, right? And your little posse is made of people that you have these secure relations with. But when you just sit back and you look around your high school, what are you noticing around the concerns or the energy that you're picking up around people growing up today?
Probably my greatest concern would be, I don't know, in school it's probably fine, but I guess in general, my greatest concern would probably be like the lack of um, like talking or like smiles, because so many people in the school are like so mean. Not like mean, but like there's a lot of, like any high school, there's gossip, right? But I feel like obviously like social media and internet has bolstered that a lot. And I think one of my greatest concerns would probably be just the the normality of making fun of people, whether it be online or behind someone's back, and no, I wouldn't say, I guess, ignorance of like you're all the same person. Like everyone, like you said, everyone is human. So like, why are you making fun of someone? Um, like sure in friend groups it's like fine because you know the dude, and but like I feel like the internet and behind people's back is just kind of weird and hateful sometimes. So yeah, that's probably my greatest concern.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that because I think what is the most important piece of what you said is the normalizing that kind of way of dissing people or dehumanizing them or objectifying them. That it concerns you that it's a normal pattern, it seems. Yeah, that would be concerning. Thank you.
That's, it's pretty unbelievable that, because it's been a couple of years since I've been out of high school, and I couldn't even imagine, number one, the pandemic and having to be so-called homeschooled on a computer, and and then not being able to interact, and then also have the social media where everything you do and say is out there for the world to see. And even if you choose not to, somebody could be videotaping you, and that's a pretty powerful and hard to fathom world to live in as a teenager, for me at least. So yeah. Beverly, You Are Not Alone is another project that you have underway.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to elaborate a little bit?
Sure. It's part two of the forum that Vincent was a part of in November. In the end of April, April 29th is a Saturday morning. It's going to be a morning from 9. You register at 9, and there's going to be lunch provided. But what we're going to be doing is centering on 5 topics that we felt were most resonant with people coming out of the forum in November. One is focused on suicide and intercepting suicide. One is on the different conditions that are identified as mental health conditions. How do you differentiate between them? So we'll have somebody professional address that. We were thinking about, there are a couple others that I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, people will come and sign up for a particular topic. And then in small groups, go in greater depth with those topics, and then begin to identify a process forward that we can begin to build some answers in our community around supporting people who are struggling, who need support around that topic. And that's the most important thing that we're doing, is coming together as a community and saying, okay, this is the situation, these are the needs. How do we then begin? In other words, April 29th is a beginning step. It's not the end step. It's sort of how do we then plan in our community to make this, to normalize a response to this that is supportive of people needing the information or the resources. And also maybe building connection with those people who are centered around that one topic as well. That they're not alone in dealing with some of these difficult topics that their families are facing.
Thank you. Thank you. Our time is just about up. I would like to, I guess, go around and kind of hear some closing remarks about what this experience has been today, or anything that you want the closing remark to be. I'm going to start with you, Vincent. Do you have any closing remarks, anything you'd like to share?
Not really. This was really fun. Thank you for having me. Just one thing with the journaling you said. One other thing I did, which was really cool and helps me a little bit, is like not only like I wrote down some of my goals too, but so like I work out and like I want to be consistent with that. So what I did is I drew myself what I want to be at 26 years old, and I drew it. So that could be another first part of journaling, I guess, is like drawing your future. So yeah, that was kind of what I wanted to say too. But thank you for having me.
You know, it was my pleasure. It really was my pleasure. And to just add on to the journaling again, it's having written goals and visions and dreams are essential, and you are surely on the right track. Francesca, do you have any closing remarks? Anything you'd like to share?
Sure. I just want to say thank you for having me as well. I'd love to see something like this continue, like I mentioned, in the schools, for sure. Whether that be maybe making it an annual club or something. I don't know, but I'd love to see it continue after you leave. Also, I think the podcast idea is excellent. If you create a youth podcast, I feel like a lot of people might listen and might want to share their stories or their feelings and things like that. I think that would be an excellent idea as well.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's something we'll talk more about. Beverly, any closing remarks? Anything you'd like to share?
I have this wonderful image, Vinny, all of you. I have this wonderful image. I had this image of having a little sign, you know, like the little sign that you put on your car. What do you call those?
Bumper sticker?
Right.
Yeah.
Rather than having bumper stickers, you would have these stickers, the shape of that would say all over Warwick and all kinds of cafes and different, sit and chat. Just as a, but this is what our community cares about. We want to sit and chat. And I was thinking that would be a great legacy that Vincent started here. I think it's a very powerful message. So thank you. I'm so excited to work on that one.
You know.
Yeah, actually, to go off that, maybe you could create in each cafe or restaurant, like designate a spot for people to go and maybe create like random questions they could pull out of a box and ask somebody. Sit down, ask somebody that you don't know, have a coffee, have a meal, pull out a random question out of the box and just share your answer. That would be such a cool idea.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. And Beverly, I have to say this again because it left an impact on me personally, and everything that I do with Team Up for Hope and some of the other community service organizations I'm involved with, is that every person feels, you want every person to feel welcome, heard, and supported in the community that we live in and love. And that has kind of touched me, and it's going to be my little mantra. I'm stealing it, actually. I'll just tell you that ahead of time. Trish, is there anything that you would like to share and close out with us?
Yes, please. I'm up for the idea of a pop-up sit and chat. That'd be amazing. Anywhere. Be better than a restaurant to me. Well, might have to have a little cake or cookies or anyway. But yeah, no, Vincent, you're a terrific young man. You give me hope for the people in your generation that the kids who came through the pandemic got to the other side. There may be long-term effects that we still need to address over time. And I look forward to hearing more about what you do with your life. And I really hope that the legacy that you started continues. I mean, I don't know if you realized it, but you created a support system for young people and you didn't, it sounds like you didn't mean to do that per se, but nothing happens by accident. There are no coincidences. You started this and it's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. That was very good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Trish. Thank you, Trish, for the wonderful introduction. Vincent, you know, you're on the right track. You're making us proud, you know, and this is a room full of adults applauding you. So you have something going on. Beverly, you know, the youth, the You Are Not Alone, the We the People, the forums, the engagement with the community. Eesh, I'm speechless, kind of, but adore it, and I'm happy. And Francesca, I'll see you at the next coalition meeting. I'll see you at the hidden mischief. I'll see you at all the other middle school and high school, you know, events that you put together. And I do want to share with the folks that are watching, teamupforhope.org. And our website will have information that Beverly is putting together, that Francesca is putting together, updates on Vincent, because he's in my radar now. So you're going to be a part of our efforts as well. I do want to share, and this is coming up, and you'll be hearing more about it as the days and the weeks go by. The town supervisor, the village mayor, an advocate for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, have gotten together, and they're putting an effort for We the People, the Warwick Prevention Coalition, Team Up for Hope, and a cast of all the non-for-profit volunteer organizations, and even profit as well, to focus and put some attention and awareness towards suicide, because it's become a big problem, not only in our community, but throughout our county, our country, and the world. And we need to do what we can to lessen those numbers as much as we can. I thank all of you for joining to share today. Francesca, Beverly, Vincent, Trish. I do want to give a shout out to Jane Steinhoff. She's the technical person behind us being together today. Thank you very much. And I'll talk to all of you and see you all soon. Peace and love.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.